Good morning. On Thursday, June 29th, 2017, Aaron Bailey was killed in a police action shooting. He was unarmed when he was shot. Multiple investigations are underway. One investigation is criminal in nature, and IMPD is fully cooperating with the Marion County Prosecutor's Office to ensure that all information and evidence is gathered on the incident. When that investigation is complete, the Marion County Prosecutor's Office will make a set of determinations and decisions. The other investigation is administrative. IMPD, under Chief Brian Roach's leadership, will conduct, and are conducting, a comprehensive administrative review of the incident, and will be doing so in conjunction with the criminal investigation. In the moments after I was sworn in as mayor, I signed an executive order to ensure that the police chief reports directly to me. In the months after that, I partnered with our council leadership to change city law to ensure that this direct report would have the full force of law. It's because of these previous reforms that I can say with full confidence that the administrative investigation into this incident by IMPD will be conducted and completed expeditiously, with as much openness, with as much transparency as due process will allow. These investigations that I've just referred to are specific to the circumstances that led directly to Aaron Bailey's death. However, these investigations do not and will not address the broader set of circumstances that make this particular incident all the more critical to the social fabric of our city. On Monday of this week, I said that if a community does not bear witness together, if it chooses to look the other way in the face of a painful past, it risks its very soul. Today in Indianapolis, we bear witness. Today in Indianapolis, we act. First, I directed Chief Roach to prioritize transparency in a sincere effort to maintain and affirm the public's trust. As a result, Chief Roach contacted the Federal Bureau of Investigation and requested the initiation of an independent federal civil rights investigation. I am fully confident, make no mistake, that IMPD will carry out a fair and thorough investigation. But I am also convinced that a separate and additional investigation is appropriate to ensure the public has confidence in the process. As federal prosecutor, I observed that there is no such thing as too much accountability when it comes to the death of one of our citizens and residents. Second, we are not just going to continue to review IMPD's use of force policies. We will change them in order to make them consistent with those best practices developed nationally in the wake of incidents around the country that have cast light on the need to modernize our police practices. Third, we will institute implicit bias training of the trainers, which will include IMPD officers and the community. IMPD and the Office of Public Health and Safety will bring in nationally recognized experts who have worked with the Department of Justice to implement a training of trainers program for implicit bias. This will not only be a program for police officers to train other police officers, but a program in which both the police and community members are working together to implement these types of programs within the community. And I might say this effort will be the first of its kind in the entire country. In addition to these steps, which have already begun, today I am announcing additional measures that the city of Indianapolis will take. First, we will create a use of force review board that will review any incident, every incident, where an officer felt compelled to use any level of force to resolve an issue, be it a physical altercation, the use of a taser, or the use of a firearm. This review will better protect both our law enforcement officers and our community, shining a light on what happened in any particular incident and why. Second, in an effort to best equip our officers during their training, we will establish an Office of Diversity and Inclusion to be located within IMPD's training academy. As police departments across the nation confront policies and training methods that have not kept pace with our society, this new Office of Diversity and Inclusion will ensure all IMPD officers receive wraparound training and continued education that reflects the need of all of the community that they serve. This office will include officers, it will include community members and stakeholders whose mission will be to assess and evaluate the impact of our training and our operational policies on the community. It will identify trends quickly and make necessary changes accordingly. Third, we will change IMPD's training curriculum. We will bring in a diverse set of legal experts to analyze the training curriculum for new officers, along with revising the continued education that all officers receive, with a strong focus on ensuring that we minimize the role implicit bias has in the way our officers interact with citizens in this city. Fourth, in a continuing effort to increase transparency and bring in external resources, we will ask community, neighborhood, and faith leaders for their aid in conducting a comprehensive review of the Citizens Police Complaint Board. While the board has already been actively engaged with the community, we want to be sure that the board services the needs and the best interests of all people in the city of Indianapolis in a fair, impartial, and just manner. Finally, I want to make clear that this conversation does not end today. This conversation will continue in the weeks and the months and the years ahead. We find ourselves bearing the weight of hundreds of years of history. We will not shed that legacy overnight. I wish we could. But neither will we shirk our duty to carry that load. That's my load. There will be more change to come. But I am hopeful that these steps will be meaningful in going forward, as we go forward, helping our community cope with these difficult circumstances today and tomorrow and in the days to come. I thank you. Questions?
Mr. Mayor, how do these changes impact I'm trying to figure out the relationship between these proposed changes and the police action shooting which took place. Like you say, no, the investigation underway, FBI, IMPD. Would it be more prudent to wait until those recommendations come back, those findings come back, before announcing some of the wholesale changes, particularly if they may have had nothing to do with this situation here?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question in the sense that the Marion County Prosecutor's Office and its investigation, IMPD's internal investigation, the FBI's investigation, obviously will be focused on Aaron Bailey and the circumstances that surround the unfortunate tragedy that occurred 10 days ago. The focus of these recommendations are really how, as a community, we can better deal with these types of issues, police action shootings, in the future. That's why there's a focus on the Citizens Complaint Review Board. That's why we want to create this Use of Force Review Board, so that we're not coming together just because someone has been killed as a result of a police action shooting. Rather, we want to review, as we do really currently, but in a more formal and collective way, anytime there's a physical altercation, anytime someone is subject to tasing. I mean, anything needs to be, I think, comprehensively reviewed. So, in answer to your question, the steps that we are taking today, admittedly, are more focused on how our community deals with these types of situations in the future, and not so much on the ongoing investigations that will ultimately conclude the factual scenario surrounding the death of Aaron Bailey.
Mayor Hogsett, we still have people asking what is openness, what is transparency during this investigation? What are you talking about sharing? Can you break that down in layman's terms?
Well, due process for the officers involved require that the process work itself out. Obviously, I don't control what the Marion County Prosecutor's Office is doing. IMPD will be conducting its internal investigation. The FBI will be conducting its investigation. What I can do as mayor is make sure that IMPD and its investigation is as open and transparent, is as timely as we can possibly make it, with all considerations of due process being taken into consideration. So we will try to reach a conclusion as quickly and as effectively as we can, internally and administratively. And then the prosecutor will reach his conclusions, or the office, and the FBI will reach theirs.
You've seen cities across the country basically torn up behind situations like this. We've got a rally coming up. What's your message about peace in the city, people attending that rally, people coming that are not from here attending that rally as well?
Well, the right to protest is protected, and I would simply say that peaceful protests are part of our culture here in Indianapolis, and should be. and I want to emphasize peaceful protests. What my responsibility as mayor is to listen to those who have a voice, to respond to all voices in the community, and to take actions accordingly. Tomorrow's rally, I have no doubt, will be conducted peacefully, and I will be listening. That's my job.
Mr. Mayor, one of the things like always is review panels look at any time force is used in an arrest. Ask any law enforcement official. It kind of comes with the job. So how do you do that without having sort of a chilling effect? You know, that an officer's lives are put in danger because they're afraid to maybe use force in a situation because a bunch of folks that weren't there, didn't see the crack addict that I had to deal with, now start second guessing my actions.
Yeah. I'll let the chief comment on that. I just preface it by saying what we're proposing today is really what we are currently doing. We're emphasizing and making it perhaps more formal than it has been, but the chief can comment. Use of force is reviewed already at every level, but in light of the circumstances that we are confronted with today, I think it's important that we emphasize that not just shootings are reviewed, but any interactions where force is used with members of the community and the public are reviewed comprehensively by IMPD. Chief, anything in addition?
Sure. So we do review every use of force now. It's done through a software program. We have a supervisor that reviews that. We're always trying to get better. We changed our use of force policy in August 2016. All of our policies are fluid, and so there are some other things that now we recognize that probably need to be in there. But as far as reviewing use of force, we do it individually, but we don't do a very good job of looking at it collectively. And what are the national trends and how do we compare? So this enables us to kind of formalize that. So rather than an individual view of an incident, you start looking at that, but you're also looking at it collectively so that you can see trends. Maybe that means a change in policy. Maybe that means a change in training. Maybe it means equipment that's not available to an officer that if it had been, then maybe that situation wouldn't have occurred.
Mayor, diversity training is already part of the What's missing from that that people can flush out?
Well, I think, for example, bringing in, as I suggested, experts from the community as a whole. I mean, currently the training that IMPD undergoes is very good. It involves use of force curriculum. It involves implicit bias training. But the truth is that the faculty at our IMPD Police Academy is made up largely of police officers, and that's good because they are the folks that know what future police officers may very well face. But I do believe that the training could be enhanced by bringing in people from throughout the community who may not be law enforcement officers, but have a particular expertise in areas that would be beneficial for our officers to be exposed to. I think that the more diverse the faculty is, the better off we are, and we will work to ensure diversity among not only the recruits themselves, but the people who train them. The more we see diversity in Indianapolis as a strength, the better off our community is.
Chief Roach, we know you've met with the folks at Indianapolis Expo, and there's been some concern about tomorrow's rally being tagged, Expo event, especially if something gets out of hand. What have you said to your officers about how to handle these crowds, the rally, in addition to that, the Expo crowd?
So I think our officers, and not just this year, but over the past few years, we learned from Ferguson also, and so we understand our posture and what that may or may not say. Our officers are doing a better job of engaging people. It's a celebration, giving directions, answering questions. I want to say that we've had a lot of discussions, and all the discourse has been civil. And then the expectation is that any interactions that we have will be respectful. And so we really do see this as a successful event that we've had over the past years. And our officers will be civil and respectful, and I think we'll get that from the community also. Always concerned we want to protect everybody, and we will. But all the interaction that we have had with those that are expressed concerns about how IMPD has acted from time to time, or perceptions of how we may have done things, those conversations and discussions have been more than civil, and there's a mutual respect that any interaction that we have will be respectful.
There's been about a dozen and a half or so police action shootings over the last couple of years. Why is this one different than what's happened before?
Chief, you want to?
Obviously, the circumstances are different. I think, and the mayor did a good job of explaining it. It's really what we're talking about today. It's not this. I don't want to diminish this incident at all. It's tragic, but this is a national discussion that has come home. And so what we're trying to do, and what we've done in the past, is identify those issues and those problems. I heard a lot of anger over the last couple weeks. I heard a lot of fear, and it's our responsibility to try and diminish both the anger and the fear. So it's we look internally and what is it we can do, and how do we cooperate and involve the community better so that both sides are understood, and that we're better servants, and the communication is greater between us.
Mayor, if there were video of the shooting of Aaron Bailey, that would certainly be vital to the investigation at this point. Body cameras, that's something you might see down the road, and why or why not?
Yeah, if there were video, we probably wouldn't be having these discussions today. But the truth is that body cams are quite expensive. And while we continue to talk about not only dash cams and body cams and other ways of encouraging more transparency, we do have budget realities that we deal with. We have a structural deficit that we continue to have to try to close. I will be introducing a budget in a couple of months for 2018. And I hope that our focus over the last couple of years has been on adding additional officers, which is not an inexpensive item. We added 85 officers this past year, 85 in 2017, 85 hopefully in 2018. So yeah, body cams, dash cams, all of that would be great, but at what cost? It's difficult to provide everyone with body cams. Anything in addition, Chief, in that regard?
Technology-wise, we struggle right now too, and I think it's important that the new CAD come online, and it'll make us the ability to ingest all that video and to have better policy as to when we want to control when that comes on and off. And don't want to put that onus on the officer, and the new CAD allows us to do that. So personally waiting on some more technology also, but fan of body cams.
Mayor Hampton, is there a citywide message from the clergy about people coming downtown this weekend, especially young people?
Well, we're glad to have Pastor Jeffrey Johnson here. We've held a number of community meetings, 2 of which were held at Eastern Star Church. I think collectively, clergy and the community can all agree that the mayor and Chief Roach have taken the initiative, not only with transparency, but this announcement today proves to be an unprecedented demonstration of leadership from the city. And the message to those who might rally tomorrow is, as the mayor stated, the right to protest is a constitutional right, and we enjoy that right in this city and in our culture. However, when progress has been made, and when some of those requests and demands have been met from our mayor, then the protest should take on a tone of celebration. Voices have been heard, the community has been heard, and it should take a tone of peacefulness And we anticipate a very peaceful rally on tomorrow. And so that will be my message, and the message that I know the clergy share as well, is that our mayor has stepped out and has heard the community in an unprecedented way, has taken steps to say, these are the changes we're willing to observe and to make now and in the future, and I think it unites our city. So.
Mayor, back to body cameras. Will your 2018 budget have a line item for body cameras or any video at all?
That's an open question. We're in the process of putting together the 2018 budget, so I can't answer that definitively. As the chief indicated, we look at technology constantly to try to protect our officers and protect the public's interest. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
One last.
Your first bullet point was change of use of flush laws. Do you have specific changes in mind, or are we at the beginning of that process? What changes?
Chief, you want to take a look at that?
So, like I said, our use of force policy changed in 2016. We looked at things like warning shots and shooting at moving vehicles and made those changes. Over the years, and I've experienced because I've been there, our policies have become more law-related and law-specific because of litigation, if that makes sense, kind of sterile. When in the past, there were more things that we trained to were more in the policy, and I think personally it made that policy a little more understandable, and it helped them recall and constantly be able to review some of the things that they trained to. Over the years, that has been missing. So things like de-escalation, sanctity of life, the things that they're taught hasn't found its way back into policy. So those are the changes that I see. There's a national consensus model that was just created over a couple of years of discussion nationally. That came out in January 2017, so there's some specifics. I'm proud to say that most of that stuff we currently have in our policy, but there are some things, and in my mind, it's more conceptual training related stuff that we used to have in policy that we took out, litigation reasons for that need to be in there so that as officers review that, they're mindful of the training that they had also.
Thank you.
Thank you.